Welcome as we continue our chronological read through of the Bible. Today we continue our vision, or we continue the vision of Ezekiel that we began yesterday. If you recall, God has shown Ezekiel four abominations in his temple that depict the apostasy, syncretism, outright idolatry that permeates Israel. Actually, he's shown Ezekiel these four abominations as he's working his way through the temple. We pick up in chapter 9 today with God executing his judgment on Israel for these abominations. A man clothed in linen is set out to place a mark on the forehead of those who sigh and groan over these abominations. In other words, those who are troubled by these abominations, who are not a part of them. Then six executioners are sent out to kill all of those without the mark. The toll is so great that Ezekiel fears there will be no remnant left. So he calls out to the Lord. But the Lord replies, no, he's not sparing the guilty. He will have no pity. At the end of chapter 9, the man clothed in linen returns and declares that his task has been completed. In chapter 10, we read of the presence of the Lord leaving the temple. The glory of the Lord, described in chapter 1, is repeated, and the departure of God's presence from the temple seems to occur in stages. In this chapter, preparations are made. The presence of the Lord seems to stage itself at the entrance of the east gate of the temple. Then in chapter 11, Ezekiel is brought to that same east gate, and he's shown 25 men, princes of the people, who mislead the people. He's told to prophesy against them. And even as he prophesies, one of those leaders dies. Again, Ezekiel cries out to the Lord in fear that there will be no remnant left. The word of the Lord comes to Ezekiel again and tells him that those who have been exiled from Jerusalem and have had no access to the temple will be returned, their faith restored, and their hearts of stone replaced with tender hearts. Yahweh will be their God, and they will be his people. Notice, it's God who does all this, Yahweh who does all this, not the people. Then the glory of God departs the temple to a mountain on the east of the city. Now, chapter 12 gets a little bit complex, but the gist of it is this. The word of the Lord comes again to Ezekiel and prepares him for another prophecy. Really, two more prophecies of action. In the first, the attack of enemies is symbolized by Ezekiel digging through the wall of the city, and his exile's knapsack symbolizes their defeat and being taken to another land. And the second, where he eats and drinks with trembling hands, it describes the unbearable fright that the people will have as this happens. Apparently, the people of Jerusalem are so convinced that Jerusalem will never fall that they just can't accept his prophecies. God ends by saying, his prophecies are true, they will not be delayed, but will be performed soon. Once again, I pray that these little reviews that we're doing here are helping you as you're reading through, and that you're helping you to get more out of the readings that we're doing day by day. May God be with you, bless you. I look forward to gathering with you again the next time.